The agenda is approved. Moving to the next item, approval of the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second. Council, please vote. Approved. Next item is the public forum. Any speakers for anything aside from items on this agenda? Council? Saying none? Oh,
Lou wants to talk.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I know you've been working on it, 11th Street, the railroad crossing is still rough. They done some it to it, but they didn't make it any smoother. I know you've been calling and calling and calling, keep calling them. And I don't know, will it be next year we can get some more streets done? The ones that are really bad? You could?
Yep.
All right. So I know there's about 5 that are really bad that needs it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Close the public forum. Move on to the next item, resolution number 90, resolution accepting the 2024 street improvements project. Council, any discussion? I'll move to approve.
Second.
Council, please vote. Pass. Next item. Approved pay request number 11, the amount of $108,202.19. Council, any discussion?
Move to approve.
Second. Council, please vote. Passes. Next item, approved pay request number 19 for wastewater treatment facility improvements. Council, any discussion?
Move to approve. Second.
Council, please vote. Approved. Next item, approved pay request number 5 from Concord. Any discussion?
Is there anything else that we need to do on this project, or is that?
For Harrington Park, there's still seating that needs to take place, but other than that, it's finished, but quotes have been received for that. Tim, was it 14,000 that?
Yeah, that's next item.
That's
Next
separate.
item.
Yeah.
And then we're done,
For Harrington, correct, yep.
still within the parameters of the original.
Yeah, so we, I think we had a total of around 3 million that was budgeted for the SRF. We're around 2 million for it, 2.1, I think, or something along those lines.
Good deal.
Any other discussion?
Move to approve. Second.
Council, please vote. Approved. Next item, approve recommendation for Harrington Park, permanent vegetation establishment. Any discussion?
Move to approve.
Second. Council, please vote.
We need an option on that one. No, so, the next highest one. Is that in here?
Yeah,
Or
it's
no?
options 1, 2, 3. You're right, Henry.
Yeah, so TK was at 14.5, so yeah, you'd need the option of 1 for it.
Yeah, option 1. Thank you.
Second.
Please vote.
Glad somebody's paying. Still getting used to the new format. Guess it's right here, isn't it?
Approved. Next item is resolution number 91, resolution approving Nevada DTR facade improvement project. Any discussion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Council, please vote.
Anyone not voted?
Maybe.
There we go.
She got it.
Thank you.
Approved. Next item is ordinance number 1067, an ordinance amending chapter 62 of the city code to prohibit the use of engine compression and air brakes within the city limits of Nevada. Any discussion?
I would just add, I did have a citizen contact me recently, and so it's good to see that we're getting this taken care of as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it was improved how quickly this
Yeah, that
came
was
together. I
Quick
think,
turnaround.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're talking about the same person, but she'll be happy, so.
Gordon, are we planning on putting signs near the city limits? Do we have, I assume we have to if we're gonna be.
Yeah, we have to put signs. I don't believe we have any, so we'll have to order them. Read for it, but yeah, we'll put it around the city limits because that's what it is for, the entire city limits. So we'll just have to figure out the best placement of them right now.
Sounds good.
Did anybody make a motion yet?
No.
No,
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1067.
Second,
I'm a little confused with the term air brakes in there. It doesn't define air brakes in the definition section. It just defines engine brake. Do we really mean for it to say air brakes, or is it just?
So the reason
Engine
I
compression.
put
brakes?
engine compression and air brakes because I looked at several ordinances and each one was different. And I
Okay.
wanted to cover each part of it in case someone did get pulled over and said, well, I have an air brake. I don't have,
Just
just.
terminology basically.
Yeah.
All semis have air brakes. Yeah, all semis have air brakes. That's how.
Not all.
Well, the non-CDL.
99% of them, yes. But,
Yeah.
You ban air brakes,
Yeah,
I think it was every 7.
I think it's just banning excessive noise. I don't think you
Yeah.
ever
It's
have
not
excessive
banning it.
noise from air brakes, but
I don't know, I mean, the way it
If
is,
it's the
the way
use
it
of
reads, it
engine
does read.
compression. Air brakes.
Yeah.
We can take that out.
I think, yeah, we need to
Yeah.
take that out.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'll amend my motion then. With that changed.
Council, please vote.
You were the second. you
Second,
did that?
again, yep.
Just want to hit this.
I know, I
Muscle memory.
gave Doug new tricks.
Approved. Next item, number 13, ordinance number 1068, ordinance amending chapter 69 of the city code to simplify no parking in city limits, first reading. Any discussion?
I'll move to approve this. I did have one person who lives in the neighborhood of question reach out earlier. Not real excited about it, but once I explained the fact that it was due to the fire apparatus, he was much more understanding, so.
Can we
Hopefully,
get a second first? We discuss.
sorry,
Second.
so hopefully folks will.
Looks like we have, yes, please.
Sorry, I didn't get hard filled out, came in late.
Mike Sauer, 36 4th Street. Just want a clarification because like I Avenue between the fairgrounds and 5th Street, no parking is already established on the south side. So now are we gonna flip flop that? What's the cost it's gonna take to put up new signs, take down signs, stuff like that? And I guess I'm not happy about it. I would like the parking to be stay on the north side and like to see an exception made. I don't know how far over it goes towards the school, but it just seems kind of ridiculous that we can't make a reset exception since it's already there in place. So that's all I gotta say. Thanks.
I kind of have the same concerns as Mike. There's a lot of streets where we were gonna be swapping the side of the street people are parking on. I'm trying to figure out how I justify cost of moving the signs as well as just telling neighbors why we're making a change in some neighborhoods. I have no problem with streets that we have parking on both sides and for the reasons Ray outlined, limiting it to one side, or if we have to go from one side to 0 sides, all for those reasons, that's perfectly fine. I just don't really feel like we need to be upsetting the apple cart on swapping people to different sides of the street for no apparent reason.
Yeah, I think I can explain. Ray Reynolds, Fire Chief. So let me just walk back a little history here. Obviously, 15th Street, we had a house fire and couldn't get to the house. We had to go around 2 different routes. So that was initially what caused the parking issue. The second thing was we were going to take an approach of measuring the streets. When you look at the parking ordinance, it's 4 pages of descriptions trying to explain which block you can park on, which block you can't park on. It's very messy. It's very confusing. I certainly think that there's a way that the public safety director can carve out exceptions for critical need, and I think we can look at all that. But in many cases, many cities have a unified standard approach, one side for all roads you can't park on based off of direction. It simplifies it. I think if you look at the existing proposal, it's 2 paragraphs in our parking ordinance instead of 4 pages trying to describe the 1700 block of 6th Street or whatever. So I received a call today that said we should actually limit parking or eliminate parking on all major thoroughfares. So 10th Street for farmers to bring cultivators in and farm to market roads. I don't think the intent is to create grief. As I said, if the argument is I have to walk 11 feet further, I'm not interested in arguing that. Okay. I do think that there are some areas that we're not going to make everybody happy, but to be consistent and have a consistent approach, it's much more easy to say all south or whatever, one side of the road for all direction, northeast, or north, south and east and west, and pick in one direction and stand on. If you look at some of the streets, they're already designed that way. And our hydrants, we're trying to also look at the placement of hydrants, especially down at 15th, where all of the hydrants are on it would be the west side of the road. So we're looking at some options like that. So I do think that there's some areas like the fairgrounds that I mean, we have always dealt with parking around fair time and stuff like that. The highest priority, obviously, is emergency vehicle response and accessibility. And I'm not talking just 6 inches of accessibility. A fire truck is 11 feet wide. A car is approximately 6. So when there's an emergency and we're responding to a scene, I need more than 6 inches clearance driving down the road with the fire engine. I think the other thing too is we were trying to avoid 8 people park on this side of the street and 4 park on this side. So let's just pick that side of the road because the majority wins. So I think by doing something like this, it's a systematic approach. And I'm not, signage is obviously going to be an issue. We're going to have to purchase more signage and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, to try and go through and put into code 100 blocks that you can't park in. And then the last thing I'll say is that our streets are actually thoroughfares. They're not permanent parking. We do have a lot of people that, and that's a parking enforcement issue, but just park campers and trailers and every trucks and a lot of equipment that just sits on the road instead of in their property. And so I think that's another thing that we have to really evaluate is what is our intended purpose. And so it's an easy systematic approach. At the end of the day, I think the residents have to kind of evaluate their property and our ability to get to it. So that's our goal in all this. But I do think we can carve out some exceptions where we need to. And Fairgrounds is a perfect example, but that road is only 19 inches wide anyway. So,
Ray, any thoughts to like game days for football games, track meets, that sort of thing around?
yeah, I mean, we put up signs for Pizza Palooza prohibiting parking. I don't, it's not that big of a deal as special events and stuff like that. But again, at the end of the day, I think a systematic approach to no parking is consistent and it provides equity. And that's really where we're trying to assure that we have one side of the road that we can get all apparatus. And it's not just fire trucks, it's snow plows, it's farm equipment, it's school buses, it's stuff like that. If you've ever driven in the, what is it, the 900 block of K? Yeah, where you got parking on both sides. I mean, that's just normal parking. So I think if we can consistently take our approach at these side streets, that would be a lot better than trying to create a description in the code that is a little murky.
Ray, do you know what logic has been used in the past for specifics? I mean, I'm not gonna ask specific streets, but do you know why
Nope.
one street is on one side and the other street's on the other?
No,
Fire hydrants or
No,
some streets have driveways and others have alleys.
Yeah, I think I couldn't even give you the percentages, but most of the parking that I've seen is on one side consistently throughout the main part of the town. And so I think we were kind of looking at that. We would like to have no parking around the hydrant, but we already have that. We have yellow markings. It's already in the ordinance. So we're not as worried about that. But in a perfect world, we'd create 24-foot streets and we just all live happy. But we don't have that in a lot of places in our city. And so is it fair to go to one part of town and say, you can't park here, but we'll just let the rest of it go. So I think when you look at a majority of cities, they do take a systematic approach that one side of the road is no parking and the other side is parking. So I think we're big enough, we can do that. But again, I just care about getting a fire truck to a fire. So if this is the major upheaval of the world, we'll get there somehow. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
You know, I've had people come to me about my neighborhood and it's same issue.
Yeah.
People parking on both sides and how do we get anything down there?
They offer any opinions on which side they wanted to park on?
No, they just wanted,
Is the general consensus, most people are in favor of just one side of the street, we don't really care which side? I didn't get any feedback, so I really.
but somebody's mentioned this to me multiple times in the past,
Yeah.
before this even came up
Yeah,
here, so.
I would agree, there's an issue definitely in certain spots.
I don't think word has really gotten out to that subject we're even talking about tonight, so. We may get more feedback in the next, since this is the first of 3 readings, we're probably gonna get more feedback in the near future.
As far as carving out exceptions, that was kind of a mention. I mean, is that something that we can include if with our feedback and amend this going forward for the second, third readings, or would that have to be?
I think if you're doing carve outs like that, it's probably starting over the process.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do scrivener errors and things that aren't material, but I think that would be a material change.
Okay.
Personally, I'd rather not see changes. If we're just keeping parking on one side of the street, I think for the sake of the neighborhoods and the people who are there, I think leaving it the way it is people are used to that, and I don't see a reason to swap them to the other side of the street. We're talking going from 2 to 1, that's a different story, but one side of the street to another.
Ray, was that just for simplicity's sake?
Yes.
Have it every street on the same side?
Consistency.
And I understand that, but there's already signs up. People have been living there for decades and know the parking's been the same way for decades. We want to make a policy of having this type of stuff for future expansion. That makes a lot of sense, but for established neighborhoods, people have been living there for forever. I don't think we need to.
Yeah,
Well, enough alone.
so in that scenario, Luke, we need to go back and I basically define it street by street. Kind of like we had before,
Well, yeah, potentially, and then just add on if there's any streets we want to
and
add,
then,
going back and adding streets that are single side.
yeah,
And I know it 4 pages or whatever it is of what we have here is a lot, but the average citizen isn't pulling up our website and looking at 4 pages of streets fair where they park. They look at the sign, they see the sign, they know whether or not they park there.
So what we're saying is we have one-sided but customized, whatever it is that, whatever side you're on, stay there.
I think it would be good kind of building off of that though, with like future development though, maybe to have a standard practice for future growth. I know someone mentioned like the hydrants and access to that. Maybe that would be something we could look at as we look to future growth.
If we're gonna outline it, even for future growth, we'll have to add those streets in line by line like it previously was.
And maybe if we
So-
do new construction on current streets where the width changes, we change things as well.
Could we use this language and then have a clause that grandfathers in what exists that is an exception to that?
We probably could, I think so we rely on the ordinance language when we do prosecution, so the issue will be enforcement, just making sure that we know what streets are new streets and what streets are old streets. So I think the problem is gonna just administratively keeping the track of those.
Yeah.
Where they're all the same as this is written, then we know when we go to prosecute those tickets, we know what side of the street we can be successful on, but.
I gotta be honest, I lived in Ames where I had to move my car back and forth to a different side almost every day. So, I mean, the thought of having to change my mindset one time personally doesn't bother me. Like, I honestly would rather go with the language we have in front of us, but
I mean, it makes it a lot easier when you're in the community. I mean, aside from the people that have been here for, since 10, 20, 30 years, wherever, how long it is to know, okay, you can't park on the north side of the street, or you can't park on the east side of the street, rather than listing out every single one of them. And I got a call on, Joe's not here, he got a phone call as well, but over on D Avenue, I got a call last week about someone complaining of having a vehicle parked in front of their house, and they have a no parking sign right in their yard, and someone's still parked there. And I just let her know that in the future, please reach out to our police department, which brings up another point is, like Aaron was saying, it's a lot easier if our police officers know, hey, there's no parking on the north side, or there's no parking on the east side, rather than looking at every single street or driving down every street and trying to figure out which side it is by looking at a sign on there. So, no matter how you look at it, there's probably going to be time involved. I mean, if we keep it at the way it is, how it currently reads, we're still gonna have to make sure everything is accurate in there. So we're gonna have to drive around and do all of that stuff. It doesn't take very long to pull a sign out and stick it in the next across the street, if that's going to be the case, especially over by the fairgrounds. So no matter how we look at it, it is going to take some time. Plus the time that it's going to be to rewrite all of this stuff. So I mean, whichever way you guys decide, we can write that ordinance the way you prefer.
I will add, there's, throughout the town, there's plenty of roads that go east-west that have no parking on the north side, and then a couple blocks away, there's no parking on the south side. So the topic of consistency, if we say we set it for all north side parking only, we'll have to be moving signs. If it's all south side, we'll have to be moving signs, and nowhere in the community will somebody not have a disruption to their normal parking. So the idea of carving it out with individual roads, just everybody's gonna have to move a sign here or there. In addition to that, Joe's got a program where he's replacing signs as they get old. So that's already something that's getting replaced. Signs that aren't expired or outdated would be transferred. So that's a minimal cost. The whole concept of consistency would help law enforcement as well, as Jordan was mentioning, being able to cruise down the road and see down a line of sight and not have anybody in the violation area. To couple that with the fire trucks, EMS, school buses, everything like that. And Henry, you hit on a topic of setting a blueprint for future design. As developers are developing new roadways, they could set the standard based off what our code is, and they could do their infrastructure design based off the code, and we wouldn't be making it specific for that subdivision or that development.
We'll still have specific carve outs though, anyway, such as Fifth.
Areas that are already designed with no parking on both sides, with the diagonal parking that's listed in there as being an exception to those. So
Sixth Street is another exception. There's
Right.
all the parking that is allowed on Sixth Street, on the side streets on Sixth Street, that's still going to be in place for.
No, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Fifth doesn't have diagonal parking. So far, well, no, maybe it does down by the old med building.
Yeah, there, but I don't think anywhere else. I think it's just side street. Street.
I don't know, again, I don't have a terribly strong opinion one or the other. I guess I'm kind of feeling like it would be best to leave it alone where one side is already designated. I don't know that it's fair to the citizens to do something that's easier for us, but maybe causes them more turmoil. Parking is something people are sensitive about. And I don't know, we've poked the hornet's nest enough lately. I'd prefer just to leave it be, and then where it needs to go down to one side, pick a side and go with it. Yeah, that'd be my opinion.
Luke,
Could we maybe institute these policies for new construction, but keep the list of exceptions? Does that make it better or worse, I don't know, but is that kind of what you're leaning towards, Steve?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that kind of what Aaron had just said would create issues for enforcement, not knowing what's new and what's grandfathered in?
We would just have to be able to document it and
We would just list
have,
them.
yeah, I mean, they'd probably have to be listed, officers would have to know.
Still have signage
Yeah, I mean, there's still signs.
and no current neighborhoods are being changed and the ones that we're talking about would be establishing their own new normal as it's being built. It's not like we'd be changing them.
And some people are gonna be affected because they won't be able to park on both sides.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so I mean, there'll be some of that, but
Yeah, I think on the whole, most people are okay with no parking on both sides. Just swapping those existing ones.
I believe that's correct, yeah.
I think I'll call for the question.
Do we need to, Ray, the one that you talked about that was specifically brought this up, does that need to be addressed or have we already?
Well, we're gonna have to go back at 16th Street, 17th Street and look at these places that have, that aren't changing as a result of it. We're gonna have to write that into the code specifically for that 2 blocks of traffic. But we can deal with that
We
later.
can batch them all together and have them ready at the next meeting though, right?
Probably not.
No.
So we're gonna, I mean, have you driven down to the fair when the campers are there during fair week? You're not gonna get a fire truck in there. What if we have a camper fire or a vehicle fire? So we're gonna have to deal with this issue or we're gonna have to accept the consequences of it. And I'm a little sensitive to house fires, so compared to which side of the street people park on, but we can table it and we can deal with other issues on it. See if we can create
I
something.
think we're interested in fixing the issue as far as one side of the street. I think it's different approaches to it right now that.
Yeah. Okay, question's been called. Council, please vote. Ordinance failed. Next item, resolution number 92, resolution accepting major subdivision final plat for Northview. Any discussion?
I'll move to approve it.
Second,
Okay, council, please vote. Approved. Next item, resolution number 93, resolutions for workforce housing development tax credit incentive application for submission to the Iowa Economic Development Authority for Oak Park.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Council, please vote. Approved. Next item, resolutions for workforce tax development incentive application for Sierra Heights. Any discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Council, please vote. Approved. Next item, resolution number 95, accepting major subdivision preliminary plat for Sierra Heights.
Move to approve.
Second.
Council, please vote. Approved. Next item, resolution number 96, resolution authorizing economic development grant agreement with Sierra Heights. Any discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Council, please vote.
Did yours go, Sandy? Mine's still closed.
Well. There you go.
Thank you.
Approved. Next item, resolution number 97, resolution approving master services agreement. Any discussion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Council, please vote.
What about option one?
Dang, it was that
Option
an
one.
option one.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, option one.
Option one is the only real one that approves it.
Yep. True.
Okay, approved. Reports.
So I did a little bit more research on the light pole. I'm still waiting to get a quote back from Jeremy Williamson here in town. It is going to be a little bit more expensive than we originally thought. It's a lot more difficult than just taking the old poles down, putting the new ones up, because the new ones are underground, the wiring's underground, whereas the old ones are up above. So everything would have to be bored in underneath. Some concrete may have to be replaced, but he's going to be giving me a quote for that, and then I'll present that to you guys as well. I still think we should move forward with the benches and add benches down there.
Jordan, it literally just popped in my head. If we're gonna be doing that, could we put up some of those boxes for like food trucks to plug into and stuff like that? One or two there too, like we have on the other blocks on
Mhm.
J&K?
I mean, if we're doing the work anyway.
Or at least look at the cost.
Yeah, we can look at the cost option. I mean, if they're going to be putting conduit in the ground, I mean, we could definitely put that into
Right.
there, because there's gonna be wiring in place for it, so.
Sure.
But yeah, we'll have to look at that, and then I think we'd have to decide if we wanna work towards replacing some of the concrete in that area. And there's just a lot of things that we need to think about, because there's going to be a lot of work, and if we're gonna be doing all of that work, then it doesn't make sense to actually do more of a full renovation. Fortunately, with our central business district project that we did and completed, we did a lot of the underground work already when it comes to the sewer and water, and so we don't necessarily have to worry about that, but it's still going to be a pretty good chunk of change to renovate some of that area, so. But I'll wait to get that information back from Jeremy. I'll also figure out if he can give me information about the utility boxes for the plugins. Or figure out who did that. Cause I know Van Meter did the lights, but I don't know who actually did those parts either, so. But hopefully I'll have that by the next council meeting. I can share that information for you. City got a letter from the USDA about crop certification, which is kind of weird because we don't have to certify any crops. We do have some land that's around 17 acres that is in that, but because we're a public entity, we don't receive any money from it, so we don't have a need to certify any of that. So I did talk with them about that and got that cleared up. Had the chance to go check out the Story County open house. That was a really beautiful house inside. They did great work on it. Basement is finished, so whoever purchases that, they will be able to build that out. Does have 2 egress windows down in the basement, so there is a possibility for 2 additional rooms down in the basement. Let's see, Evening Rotary has been working on a trail project out at Harrington Park. We did receive estimates back to that, and I did share that with them. It did come in a lot more expensive than what I anticipated it was going to. There's 2 options. Both options were expensive. One of the options was pretty close to how much it was to do 19th Street, which was, I thought, pretty cheap for that 1 mile, but this is pretty expensive just for that area, for a relatively flat area. Had Walnut Hills meeting, Main Street meetings. Joe and I met with the Violytics group to talk about their program. It's a program that you have cameras that monitor the road and read the road literally every second you're driving. So it monitors signs, fire hydrants, cracks in the road, and basically puts it into a rating system. And then, but it's expensive, and we just have to figure out if we're going to go with that. And then if we do, what are we going to replace in our budget for it? Because it's about $14,000 a year for it, but I think it's definitely worth it. We just have to look into it a little bit more and reach out to other communities about it. Any questions?
Have we heard anything back from Burke?
We have not.
Have we reached out to them to ask when we're gonna hear from something?
Yes, I was supposed to hear something by the end of last week, so. I've not heard.
You haven't?
All of it.
Is development committee gonna meet on that again?
Yeah, we can. We have Karen and I were looking at the other concept that we proposed a while back, that tier system. And so, Karen and I will work on that a little bit more this week, and then hopefully next week we can put together a meeting and go from there.
Thanks.
Yep.
All right. Tim, I think we'll start with you.
Ooh, spicy.
Right, changing things up.
Just a couple of items to update you on. The Aquatic Center was set to open on Sunday, this coming Sunday, the 1st. But as you know, we've had very cold weather, very windy weather, so we've had a lot of work to do to get it cleaned up again. We're just not gaining anything temperature wise to try and put staff in there for effective training. So the next 3 nights are low to mid 50s. We don't hit 80 degrees until Thursday for highs. So we maybe push back a day or so on the opening. But I think just, thinking long-term safety to get our staff prepared properly, I think we want to do that rather than put somebody out there that's not prepared like they need to be. So working towards that, hopefully we'll get some good sunshine and it'll heat up quicker, but takes a while to heat up all that water. So the only other item I'd share with you is next week on Monday, the contractor will mobilize in for the Indian Creek SRF project and get that project started. It will start at the east end, kind of in the fairgrounds area, and he'll work west and north from there. The intent would be to get out of there before fair and Lincoln Highway Days, and get out of everybody's way. So, any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
On the opening of the pool, are you getting that communicated out to people?
We'll send that out, social media, we'll put something out probably at the end of the week.
Okay, awesome.
If we have a little bit better idea if we've gained enough ground or not, so.
I just wanted to pass on props to you and your team. I had a lot of compliments come in about the cemetery for Memorial Day.
Oh, thank you.
Just complimenting how wonderful it looked, really well kept. And so just wanted to pass that on to you and your team.
I appreciate that. I'll share that with them. Thank you. All right.
And additionally, give credit to the volunteers who put up the flags. They looked great.
It's a big project.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
The time has finally come for our new director to start. So next Monday, she starts full time. So if you guys want to drop in anytime next week and meet her, she's moving in to town tomorrow. She's officially a Nevada resident as of tomorrow. So, other than that, we're getting ready to kick off our summer learning program. Our official kickoff day is Saturday, June 7th, from 10 to noon in Patton Park, right next door to the library. Any kid that signs up gets to take a free book. They'll get their free log or their log to track their minutes and start earning prizes and all that fun stuff. So that is all, unless you guys have questions.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Just a couple of things here, in case you see us out, we'll be painting hydrants to Highway 30. We're hoping to get everything done. We've kind of learned with a number of hydrants that this is a big project to take on at one bite. So we're going to try and space our hydrants out every year, do a third of the city. Also, got an update, our new fire engine's going to show up just in time for Christmas. So it'll be a Christmas gift for the city. And then I just joined the NIOSH firefighter fatality review team. There's several subject matter experts around the country that review firefighter line of duty deaths. I think the benefit to our department is that we can see how these tragedies happen, and we discuss them with our department. We actually assign reading to our officers so that they're aware if they're in charge of a scene to maybe avoid some of those circumstances so that we can keep our people safe. So it's a great opportunity that we have to kind of tap into the national network, but still for our small town Nevada.
Thanks. Ryan?
I'm good unless you guys have questions.
Chief?
I'm good unless you have questions.
Brenda? All right.
No report tonight, Mayor.
I had a special request to let people know I was going down to the tractor show this weekend at Vetters. Andy reminded me. So other than that, this is my first kind of calm meeting, so I appreciated that. Oh.
We'll see what we can do.
Change it up a little bit. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Can I just briefly, Coffee with the Council is gonna be starting, not this coming Saturday, but the next Saturday, June 7th. It's gonna be the first Monday of every month. No, I'm sorry, the first Saturday of every month with the exception of July. The Sandy and myself leading off on June 7th. There is a opening on July 12th, if anybody has that spot and they want to swap over or something like that. It's available, so. There'll be a fancy logo coming out. Don't blame Marlis if you don't like it, because I made it and I have no idea what I'm doing with that. So, but the word is gonna be going out probably later this week.
Anyone else?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
You get it.
Oh, council, please vote.
Aye.
All right, now. we're adjourned.
Oh, we almost had a perfect meeting.
Like those boys.
So close.
So close.
So close.
God.
Steve, are you available on the 12th?
There we go.
Let me check. I'm off this week, but I'll.
Okay, have a second.
I think you were the only one that wasn't, no, Zane's not on there twice right now.
What do you need?
Cause he couldn't do.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Ryan might be able to.